Before we get into the anatomy of self-inflicted irrelevance, a quick message for men who prefer painful clarity over comforting lies. Our latest Patreon video is called 7 Hard Lessons About Women Most Men Learn Too Late in Life. It's the kind of knowledge you either pay for now or overpay for later with your time, dignity, and options. And if you want coaching, the link is in the description and pinned comment. That's where men go when they're done asking why the same story keeps ending the same way. Now here's the hook, and it won't be gentle. A man who stays available no matter what thinks he's proving loyalty. Women interpret it as a lack of options, a lack of self-respect, and a lack of danger. And danger, in controlled doses, is what keeps attraction awake. The moment you become endlessly accessible, you don't become reliable. You become furniture. Comfortable. Useful. Easy to ignore. Most men don't realize when the shift happens. One day she's curious, responsive, engaged. The next, she's slower, distracted, half-present. He assumes stress, timing, bad luck. What actually happened is simpler and crueler. She mapped his availability and found no resistance, no friction, no cost. He was always there, always ready, always waiting. That's not strength. That's an open door with no lock. Women are not impressed by men who reorganize their entire existence around access. They are alarmed by it. A man with no competing priorities is not romantic. He's suspicious. He signals need, without saying a word. And need is not attractive. It's heavy. It demands caretaking. It smells like future obligation. Here's the irony that should sting a little. The men who pride themselves on being consistent are usually the first to be taken for granted. Consistency without boundaries reads as desperation dressed up as virtue. Women don't reward that. They exploit it or they exit it, sometimes both. When a woman encounters a man who stays available no matter what, she starts running unconscious calculations. If he answers instantly every time, his time isn't valuable. If he never says no, his standards are low. If he's always ready, his life must be empty enough to accommodate her whims. None of these conclusions inspire desire. They inspire boredom or contempt. And before the comments fill with wounded protests, understand this. Women don't sit around plotting how to diminish men. They respond to signals. You send the signals. They interpret them. Cleanly, efficiently, often ruthlessly. I respect that efficiency. A woman who accurately reads availability is a better strategist than a man who mistakes self-erasure for devotion. There's a dark comedy to how men do this to themselves. They think proximity builds attachment. In reality, overexposure kills intrigue. Mystery requires absence. Value requires scarcity. You don't miss what never leaves. You don't anticipate what's guaranteed. Psychology backs this up for those who need evidence before accepting reality. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that perceived partner availability without autonomy decreased romantic desire over time, while partners who balanced responsiveness with independence were rated as more attractive and higher status. Translation: being there is good. Being always there is lethal. Women interpret constant availability as a lack of internal structure. A man who never withdraws, never tests her interest. He removes the possibility of loss, and with it, the emotional stakes. Without stakes, there's no tension. Without tension, there's no attraction. What remains is habit. Habit is not passion. Habit is what you forget to question until something better appears. This is why women often grow distant from men who did everything right. He texted back fast. He made time. He showed up. He listened. He adjusted. He bent. He bent again. Eventually, he broke, and she didn't even notice when it happened. The men I have the least patience for are the ones who brag about never saying no. They confuse flexibility with strength. They think accommodation is power. It's not. Power is the ability to withhold without guilt. Power is choosing when to engage and when to redirect your attention elsewhere. A man who stays available, no matter what, has already surrendered that power. He just hasn't noticed yet. Women read this surrender instantly. They may enjoy it at first. It's flattering to be prioritized. But flattery decays quickly. What lasts is respect. And respect requires limits. When there are no limits, respect quietly leaves the room. Now let's give credit where it's deserved. Women who recognize a man's constant availability and adjust accordingly are not villains. They're adaptive. They understand that desire thrives on polarity, not worship. A woman who loses attraction to a man who erases himself is responding honestly to reality. I trust her instincts more than his excuses. Men love to ask, "What did I do wrong?" The answer is usually, "You removed all friction. You made yourself too easy to read, too easy to reach, too easy to keep. You thought being indispensable meant being omnipresent. In reality, it means being selective." A man who stays available no matter what communicates one fatal message: I have more interest in you than I have in my own life. Women don't want to be the main character in your life. They want to visit a life that's already moving. Here's the part that separates students from casualties. You don't need to disappear to regain value. You don't need theatrics. You need rhythm. Presence followed by absence. Engagement followed by detachment, not to punish, but to maintain shape. Without shape, everything spills. Dark humor moment, because this deserves it. A man who is always available is like an all-you-can-eat buffet that never closes. At first, people are excited. Then they feel sick. Then they stop coming. Not because the food was bad, but because there was no reason to hurry. Homework, because insight without action is just mental decoration. For the next 14 days, stop responding immediately when there is no urgency. Not out of spite, out of self-respect. Say no once a week to something you would normally accept automatically. Protect time that has nothing to do with her. Notice how uncomfortable it feels to withhold access. That discomfort is your dependency, trying to renegotiate control. Don't argue with it. Observe it. Write down what changes in her behavior when your availability is no longer guaranteed. Toward the end, if this video hit a nerve, subscribe. Not for loyalty, for continuity. Patterns don't break from one insight. They break from repeated exposure to uncomfortable truths. And I want you to comment this, honestly. When was the moment you realized your availability made you less desirable, not more? Say it plainly. The answers will tell you where your leverage disappeared. A man who is always available thinks he's being chosen. In reality, he's already been categorized. And categories are where desire goes to retire quietly. Welcome to the dark side of your mind, an armory disguised as advice. Everything here exists to give you clarity sharper than the games being played against you. The reading is where I dissect your situation with precision. What he meant, what he didn't, what you missed. About 1,000 words, plus one follow-up question to tighten the strategy. The case file is the full autopsy, a complete psychological breakdown in writing, plus a private audio message so you hear the parts most people avoid. One follow-up to lock it in. If you want speed, There's the whisper. 400 words. Direct. Unfiltered. No extra dialogue. If you prefer tone and voice, the weight of the message itself, the transmission gives you a private audio response. No follow-up. No hand-holding. And if your situation is messy enough for multiple angles, buy 2 services, and the third is free. Strategy rewards commitment. If you want the truth delivered publicly, without exposing yourself, there's the public whisper. 1 question, 1 strategic answer, posted for others to learn from. Short, clean, no follow-up. You already know why you're here. You ask your question, and within 72 hours, you get clarity most people never develop. Emotional discipline, psychological leverage, the ability to stop repeating patterns that drain you. The dark side of your mind isn't here to soothe you. It's here to change how you move.